Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Richard Burke. I'm the Executive Director of Western Liberty Network. It is Saturday, June 19th at 1:05 p.m. And this is the latest in a series of sessions that Western Liberty Network hosts on Zoom every Saturday at 1 o'clock. So I'm going to share a screen here. If I can get this thing to work. Okay, what I'm going to show you here is the Western Liberty Network website. You can visit the website at www.westernlibertynetwork.org. And on the website, you'll be able to see what we're doing. Right now, the session we're about to start is featured on the front page, and other things that Western Liberty Network is involved in. You can check it out. And if you would like access to training resources, just go to the training tab, and you will come here and you will see a variety of resources. These are documents that are often provided with live trainings, but they stand on their own. So if any of these topics interest you, you can download all of these PDF files. Also, the weekly training sessions, such as the one we're recording right now, are shown here. So you can look at past training sessions and view them at your convenience. It's our own little on-demand service. And if you like what you see, folks that are watching the recording, you can go to the Support WLN tab, and you can make a one-time contribution or make a monthly contribution. And all contributions to Western Liberty Network are fully tax deductible, as Western Liberty Network is a 501c3 organization. And in that light, I need to mention that as a 501c3 organization, Western Liberty Network doesn't endorse or oppose any candidate, even the candidates we train. We do not endorse or support or oppose any political party, legislation, or ballot measure. What we do is we train grassroots activists how to do politics, and then they are welcome to apply the skills that they acquire as they see fit on the campaigns and causes they care about. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're not having a skill training session. What we're doing is we are going to have a series of sessions where we familiarize people with some of the independent affiliates of Western Liberty Network. One of the ways we reach activists and provide them with training is by affiliating other organizations. We call them independent affiliates. They are not subordinate to Western Liberty Network. Western Liberty Network is not subordinate to them. But we do have a relationship whereby we provide training content, and the organizations make their rank and file members aware of training opportunities that exist. And as always, the comments of our guests and participants are solely their own responsibility and do not necessarily reflect the views of Western Liberty Network, but we'd love to hear all of them. And like you, I have my personal views, but for Western Liberty Network, we are just going to provide information to folks for them to use as they wish. And today we're privileged to have Dmitriy Sashchenko. I've gotten to know him over the past year or so. Dmitry is president of an organization called Slavic Vote, and my wife is a Slavic immigrant from Ukraine. I have some Slavic blood myself, so I've been interested in this organization, and they have the ability to really turn politics in both Oregon and Washington on their head if they are successful in their mission of mobilizing the Slavic community to vote in substantial numbers. There are over 130 or 140,000 native Russian speakers in the Portland metropolitan area, another 30,000 in the Vancouver area, and concentrations of members of the Slavic community in a variety of cities such as Woodburn, Seattle, and elsewhere. So with that, I'm going to turn the session over to Dmitry, and I will blank out my face and focus on what he has to say, and he will be willing to answer any questions that you have. So go ahead and take it away, Dmitry.
Well, I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you, Richard. It's been a pleasure being a part of your organization and as an affiliate, also participating, in the trainings that you guys provide. Those have been very helpful throughout the few years that we've been active, and I know that we participated both of the years that we've been active. So I appreciate that opportunity. As an organization, we, like Richard said, we don't typically endorse or oppose candidates for the most part. We just primarily talk about some of the values, some of the things that our community stands for, and by doing that, we provide the community resources and information based off of their values that they tell us, so they can then, it makes it easier for them to vote. And at the same time, when there is folks, leaders in the community that we recognize that are active or they have a potential ability to be a good candidate, we try to talk to them, recruit them, and provide these resources and trainings, kind of like what Richard does here. We then connect Richard and the organizations with those folks, or the skills that we've learned, we try to pass those on if they cannot meet with the organization like Western Liberty. But essentially, we try to help them run for local office. And that's one of the reasons also why I ran this year. And also another gentleman who is also part of the organization. We both ran to really to not only, in a sense, preach of activism and running and getting more involved. We decided to kind of be an example as well, and we did run this year as well, and I definitely learned a lot. It was a great, interesting race, and it was just fun to watch the entire process, and I would probably do it again in the future. So it's definitely worth it. Um, so that's pretty much kind of like the intro that I have. I guess the way we started, the way everything's started, as a lot of people know, that the community hasn't been very active in the political process for many years, and a lot of it is because the community is just not. They come from the former Soviet Union where they didn't trust the government and they didn't really want to be part of it, so they just essentially, don't bother me, we won't bother you, and we just kind of left each other alone. And that's how the community was for many years until really 2019, when things started kind of changing and going south, where the community realized that that might not be the option anymore. And they, for the first time, really, they came out and in big numbers and protested a lot of the legislation that was coming down in Washington State, and at the same time, right a few months after that, was trickling down to the Oregon State, and that was kind of the birth of the Slavic community getting more involved. On the flip side, myself, I was living at the time, or coming back from Washington, D.C., where I lived there for a little bit. I was there basically trying to get an internship at the in Washington, D.C., and trying to really get myself more active after getting my citizenship that same year. In 2018, I became a citizen. I moved to D.C. for a little bit and tried to get an internship with my spouse. And after we came back, we were really excited to really just get more active, more involved, and essentially just try to do something. We were passionate and inspired, and tried to get more involved here locally. And again, at the same time, that was when the Slavic community was waking up, and then that was kind of the birth of the Slavic Vote organization. It was in some sense a very divine moment where we just had to kind of follow our calling, in a sense. We felt like this was something that we had to do, and at the same time, we took the leap of faith, and the people came, essentially. So it was a kind of a really interesting experience to watch, and we learned a lot. But essentially, that was kind of the birth where a lot of the organization itself started with me and my friend, and Lily Zhukova came just a little bit after me and Andre spoke about starting this organization. And we kind of got an idea to do this. We got more of our friends to come down and meet and decide that this is something we want to do. And we realized they were like-minded as well, and they wanted to do something similar at the same time. So we got our minds together, got our efforts and our resources together, and we started the organization that is now today. And like I said, Lily came just a little bit shortly after that, and she brought that nonprofit experience and the legal experience, where she was able to get us really off the ground and give us that status where we can now, work as a nonprofit and be in kind of, have more power in a sense. And like Richard mentioned, something that we just recently started doing, we recently applied for a C4 status, which gives us a lot more flexibility. And before, we couldn't really endorse candidates, we couldn't really get political or really lobby or try to really speak our minds. We had to kind of stay neutral, which was strategic in many ways, and I think that has a lot of value as well. But the community was very clear that they want the voting results or voting election material, or just in general, they wanted and more easier and less barriers when it comes to voting. And even the resources that we provided a lot of times were just still not enough. So by doing an endorsement, by offering, these are the candidates that we clearly endorse and or we recommend, will be even more even easier for the community and less barriers for them to come out and voting. So that's something that we're kind of starting this year, which I'll get in here in just a little bit. But the last year again was our our major year when we really got off the ground and hit a lot of the churches. 2019 we started going door to door or church to church and registering people at the location where they at, and we registered a lot of people at their church. In 2020 we continued that, and with COVID hitting, and that kind of changed our strategy a little bit, where we started looking for other ways online and perhaps doing virtual events and things like that, like most other organizations. And then the Slavic community, we quickly realized that they didn't really follow all the guidelines, or they didn't really, I know that the churches were closed a lot of times, but they knew that they came to the United States for the religious freedom, right? That was one of their main things that they came for. So they felt emboldened to continue gathering, even though there was law that was, in our belief and many others, was in many ways unconstitutional. So the churches that we started going to were the ones that were opening up, and they had the right to do that. And we continued our efforts and registrations, even in the midst of the COVID and lockdowns and things like that. So that was very inspiring to watch some of the community really take those steps to stand against the tyranny in many ways. And I was really proud to see that. But essentially, last year was over. We were able to successfully essentially, get a lot of people registered. I think our last numbers that I checked, we registered physically in person over 2,000 people, which is a lot of work, which doesn't include people that were registered oftentimes online, that were, that was not always tracked, just because, you can't track all those. Also, people that were word of mouth in a sense. So those were not tracked, and we believe that could have been a double amount or more, because we met a lot of people who said that they registered with us, they were inspired, they were passionate about what we're doing, and they went home and registered their parents or registered their friends and so on. So essentially, the idea was to create a ripple effect where families would then inspire and get others to do the same. So, and we believe that that's what happened. So, so it was great to watch. It was great to see that. And I just want to make a small addition to what Richard said. He mentioned that there's about 130,000 Slavic people, with another 30 in Vancouver. There's never been a concrete number of how many Slavic people there is in the Portland metro or the Northwest. There's always been these numbers kind of like 130, 150 or more. The latest or the highest number that I've heard that I think is most accurate is probably 150 in the Portland metro area. So it's really close to what Richard said. Vancouver alone, actually, which is kind of interesting to watch, A lot of the Slavic community moved to Vancouver because it is a more conservative area. There's more legislators there that are conservative. But in general, from the numbers that we have, the only really concrete numbers that we have is there's about 60,000 Slavic registered voters that are in Vancouver area. And one of the districts specifically, I think it's the 17th or the 18th, that has the very large number. And again, that is the key word is registered voters. That doesn't include non-registered and non-citizens, which is probably double that. So we believe that there is a lot of people that out there that we don't even know, not because they're not registered, not because they're illegal or anything. It's just they never really either participated in the census or they've been moving often, and that kind of changes the demographics. So with the census happening last year, I think that would be interesting to watch. I took some part in the census here in Multnomah County because in many ways, I believe that would give us more knowing how many people we have, and kind of using that to our advantage could give us some leverage in many ways. So I'm looking forward to see the numbers that will come out, and hopefully the Slavic community participated a lot more than before, and it'll give us a little bit more clarity on how many people are here in Portland metro area. But again, I think our guess is probably 500,000 people, Slavic people living in the Oregon and Washington area. That's kind of our guess, 500,000. That is definitely a big number. That if they all voted, that could be a big change that could happen. So hopefully we'll continue mobilizing and moving the community in that area. Although a lot of people are moving to other states, but we'll see how it goes. I think it'll be interesting to watch. Something that we started doing this year, since it's a little bit slower year, and we've got a great opportunity to kind of take our message and so two things that we started doing this year. One of them I already mentioned is going towards the C4 status and kind of more taking the position and really taking a more concrete stance. And the second thing that we started doing is taking our message and amplifying it using the Slavic radio that we have here in Portland metro area that reaches, I've heard up to Seattle and as low as Salem, and obviously online broadcasting as well. So the message that we have is now spread on the broadcasted on the Slavic radio. So I'm excited about that, the message that we have, hopefully reaching more people now, and it'll continue waking a lot of people up to get more active, to get more involved, and just in general get more Slavic people get out and vote. I think that's the main thing. And regardless of how you vote, I always tell people just vote, just get out and vote, and we're here to support you. The strategy, obviously, we know that the community is family oriented. The majority have a lot of families, so hopefully they will vote for family values and things like that. So that's pretty much kind of the gist of kind of what we do. Like I mentioned with the C4, Lily's that's a very new thing that we just recently kind of kicked off. We're still trying to figure out where we're going to go with that, but the goal is to really give more tools for the Slavic community to make it an easier and better choice, so they have a bit more tools in a sense. So yeah, that's kind of what I have with the time that I have. If you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those. One thing that I always tell people, if you are in a community where you have an opportunity to do what we did, definitely take that. I know a lot of times it's hard and it's perhaps scary, but find people that believe in what you believe and work together, be united, and use each other's skills to advance those beliefs in a sense. Something that I've never saw myself doing was going out and speaking and organizing, but other people that were with me were good at that, and I was able to bring my skills with everybody else's skills, and we were able to succeed. And then at the same time, we all grow, and we all can do more and more as we continue. And so I'm really excited. So this year is going to be really interesting to see it goes, and I'm looking forward to it. So.
Well, Dmitry, before I open it up to questions, could you talk a little bit more about some of the projects that you think Slavic Vote in either C3 or C4 form will undertake in the next year?
So I think with the C4, like I said, I think we're gonna develop a more more serious effort when it comes to a voter pamphlet or voter guide, where we can be a lot more bold in who we believe represents the community best. So up to the point of just endorsing straight up endorsing candidates who we stand closest with the Slavic community. So I think that's going to be a big change for us, and will give us even more again, give us more tools for the community to have. And again, some people, it was hard for them to navigate the voter guide that we already had because it had all the candidates, and it was hard for them to navigate it. But now hopefully it'll be really just straightforward. These are the candidates that support, and this tool hopefully it'll be a strong and useful tool where it could be used by other communities as well, because it will be available in English and Russian. And the unique part about this is that there is not many organizations out there that do local voter guides in a sense. So I hope that'll not only help our community, but it'll also help other communities. I know that was a unique thing before as well, where some of the candidates were not always available on all voter guides, and we had them. So I hope that's something that we could provide as well for the greater community in a sense. And then with the C3, like I mentioned, radio is our big year-long project. We were able to get a sponsor who paid the for the rest of the year, who gave us the opportunity to really have that voice for the rest of the year. And my goal is to work with the radio and show them the value of this program or this particular subject, where then we could, in the long run, create this as like a regular programming at the radio, at the station. They have something similar already, but for the Russian news and Russian politics. But there's nothing really that's original and that is a regular that it talks about local politics or local news and things like that. So hopefully, program will, if it proves that it is interesting and it is useful, it can naturally turn into a regular programming. And as Richard put up, that's one of our programs that we have out there. Yep. So that's kind of the goal. Those are the two major projects that we have. We had a small event that we just did a few months ago. We got together. We essentially a pastor's prayer breakfast. We gathered many pastors. It was a goal of ours to do since we started to gather as many pastors in one room and talk about the issues, talk about what we can do, bring some legislators and bring some people that could inspire. And we've done that. We had about 50 people present, and we liked it so much that we do want to do it again and invite even more pastors and open up the doors to the public where they can come as well and listen. So that's kind of the project that we just recently did. That was kind of for this year. And then the next event that we're planning, and we'll see how it goes, but hopefully we can make it work. It's our next Slavic Action Summit. The last one we've done was in 2019, where it was really just getting the Slavic community familiarized with the legislators, elected officials that are in the community, bringing them in to really speak on some of the issues, speak on some of the things and inspire them. And then hopefully we can work with Western Liberty to provide some workshops either before, after, or in between that conference. So hopefully that can be done this year. We're looking at some of the things that are coming up, and we're hopeful that we can make it work. So stay tuned. That we haven't announced it yet, or we haven't really decided on a date, but we're planning for maybe fall. So yeah, thank you.
Very good. So do either of you have any questions for Dmitry?
Yeah, I do. So Dmitry, I know that a lot of the Slavic community or a good amount of them go to a parochial school that one of the churches puts on and whatnot. But what's going on in the public education system as far as the Slavic people speaking out against CRT and CSE, and what kind of help do they need to where I can maybe help navigate that?
Right. There's definitely more and more people that are pulling out their students out of public schooling for the concern, obviously, of CRT and even other minor things that have been happening the last 5-10 years. But the issue sometimes, those is the financial status. Not always they can afford a private school or homeschooling. So that's kind of the barrier right now. Again, these families do have, usually a Slavic family has a big family. So affording, 5-6 kids to be in a private school or not, in homeschooling is difficult. So that's probably one of the difficulties is trying to figure that out. But I think if there was a voucher, kind of like what there's some conversations that are happening already here in Oregon, and there was some conversations in Washington. I forget exactly how far they went with that. That could be interesting, where that could help. And in general, I think that'd be a great addition, to the options that we're going to have more and more options. So we'll see how that goes. But I think in general, to answer, what's up?
I'd like to talk to you more about that on what you know, because I'm currently working with some people on getting it's not a voucher system, but a ESA going, educational services account, kind of like a HSA, and trying to get school choice going that way. But what do the parents need who are staying in public schools? What help do they need on navigating and things like that?
Right. I think just in general, when it comes to schools, just in general and everything, to me, it seems like sometimes parents are so, the ones that do see issues like these, they do speak out and they pull out students, but a lot of them oftentimes are just, a lot of times just kind of, they don't see much hope anymore. So they almost give up. And they just continue, praying, that their students will come out, not harmed by these ideologies. So I think a lot of teachers just kind of give up and let their students just continue going to these public schools. So if there was a serious effort to make it happen, that could excite them. But it really just, even that understanding that, it's just understanding the fact that there might be that option. That could be something that we could work on as trying to educate them, that if they speak up more, more and more, then this could be something that could be a reality. They're just active enough to make it work. It's just, yeah, especially after this election, I think a lot of people have kind of, the last 2 years we're coming out and speaking on, that the elections are fair. Elections are, you can trust the elections, unlike there was in former Soviet Union. And after this elections, there was a lot of gray areas, and it was kind of like we kind of had to step back, and now we are almost redoing what we've done, trying to convince them, and a lot of people are just they've either given up and they don't trust the system anymore, and they're moving to other states where hopefully it's better, and we don't think that's the best idea, because it's not gonna go away anytime soon, and it's only gonna spread. So we'll see. That's definitely something that we can talk more and see how that can work. I don't know the efforts that you're doing. Is that only in Beaverton County?
No, what I'm doing is trying to get parent student teacher community coalitions going, to where I'm just kind of facilitating this is what you do. These are the people you contact in your district, set up meetings. Here's what we're going to do at the school board meeting, things like that. And if we could get people on board with that, I'm also actively looking for children who can speak to what's going on in their classrooms as well. So that I can either one, record them and we could keep it anonymous and stuff as well, or two, that we could get them to speak up in the school board or go to a meeting with one of the district personnel. And I'm have a group in Westland, Wilsonville, Beaverton, some people in St. Helens that are interested, some people in North Clackamas that are interested. And so it's just a matter of getting these coalitions up and running and moving, and to embolden parents to say, hey, you are the number one teacher. You are the taxpayer. And so you have all these rights that they don't think they have, and they do. And it's just a matter of educating them.
For sure. And I think what's I think the biggest thing is that I can think of right away, those particular districts or counties that you mentioned, that's not where the Slavic community lives. So I don't know if you'll have a lot of people coming out from the Slavic community and in support of those areas. And that's kind of, that was difficulty also with your election. That's not really where the Slavic community is. Primarily, there is some. They're different community, not exactly the same generation in the sense, but the majority of the Slavic community that we work with is in Clackamas County and in Multnomah County and Vancouver, Clark County areas. So those are the three major areas, and Washington County is probably the last out of the four counties where the Slavic community is. I would say Marion County probably has more Slavic people than Washington County. So if you are planning to expand your reach to those other counties, I think that's where things could be different. And I know that you're working with Natasha, I think you know Natasha, right?
I know Natasha. Yeah. Well, I'm willing to go wherever is needed. I mean, I have people from Colorado contacted me, wanted me to speak to their group.
Right.
So if you want to get something together and I can go and speak, whether there's an interpreter or whatever the case needs to happen to where they can understand, they have that power. I'm willing to go. I mean, Multnomah County is just a hop, skip, and a jump for me. So.
Right. Yeah, I think especially if you could find a teacher or a mother who is passionate about this from the Slavic community that you can partner with, that could be almost like a mouthpiece or a spokesperson for your efforts. That would probably be the most successful way to do it, because it's not that they don't trust you or your group. It's just easier to just work with someone who they maybe even familiar with or know from the community. So that could be the most successful way to do it, or start off at least, and then then they'll know about you and your organization, your group. I think that'll be a way to get in. Some of the options also, and I think we could talk more about possibly having you come on our radio and speaking on these issues as well, and that could bear some good fruit and maybe get some people to come out and get more involved in those efforts as well.
Yep, I'm willing to do that. Excellent.
Yeah, and I know we already started the conversation about some of these things in other areas, and I think we'll continue this discussion. And
yeah.
I'm excited that the work that I do now, on top of the Slavic Vote, it connects us even more, and we're able to get out and do more work together. So I'm excited about that.
Yep, perfect. Awesome, Dmitry.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Dmitry?
Yeah, what were your top legislative concerns this session?
Yeah, this session was interesting.
That's a generous term.
I think the session, the community really didn't come out much at all. I think they lost hope, and as terrible as things were happening, I think the biggest thing that drove them last time was the vaccine bill, and because since it wasn't as big, or I don't know, I guess I wasn't even following as much since there's so much other stuff. Basically, that wasn't that wasn't a biggest thing that was out there. So I don't think they came out as much as they would have. They did pay attention. Those who are active, they did pay attention and tried to try to make sure, but I think the biggest thing is obviously always going to be anything that's going to go against the family values, anything that's going to go against individual liberty and small business. Those are the things that are always going to be top issues that they're going to be concerned about.
Well,
There
did they
were a lot this session. Yeah.
did they know about the vaccine passport bill that just got put
Yeah.
into committee?
Kim's
They-
bill.
That's something that we'll have to look at and I mean it's interesting because like I know that churches, for example, most churches are not going to probably acknowledge that much because they probably not going to really pay attention to it. They're just going to allow people to come in kind of like they did before. But we'll see. I think we'll see what will happen. I know that there's other groups that are promising to sue the governor or the capital or the government. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm hoping things will work out better, but you never know.
Well, here's the problem with that is California is just now doing they're saying it's not a vaccine passport system, but it is, and it's electronic. They're saying instead of just tuck your very important paper document in a safe somewhere and just do it electronically on your phone, which is gateway to passport system, like marijuana to cocaine. So if this bill doesn't go through, I am almost positive that Governor Brown's going to push something similar to what California is doing. And it's going into hearing next week. And so it's something to jump on pretty quickly if that's what you want to do.
Well,
Right.
it's not going to pass. The bill won't pass. I mean, the bill, Kim's bill won't pass. I mean, it's just not going to pass. So, yeah.
Well, it doesn't mean that we don't try and we don't
No,
make our
I agree.
in the
I
very
agree.
system that we have going right now. So
If you have
try, then there's nothing there. So
right, if you have any kind of information that I could put out into the community, just to, again, a lot of these things kind of energizes them and gets their ears perked up and to kind of pay attention these particular subjects. So if you have anything that is easy to understand and that I could put out there and have them get themselves acquainted with, I think that's something we could do and put out there.
yeah, I don't personally have anything, but an article just is either Epic Times or Daily Wire that had it about California today, because I read it this morning. And then and I just got news that the bill went through. I'll go find the bill real fast and let you know what the number is.
Okay, yeah, even the article would be a great start to kind of put it out there.
Yeah, are there any other questions for Dmitriy today?
And you guys can also always, if you're watching this as a recording, you can always reach out to me directly. I'm on social media, obviously, and under our organization and personal, you can find me under my name, and you can also message us within our organizational applications and social media apps, things like that. So,
Do you want to give out a phone number or website address?
yeah, so the easiest way is just finding Slavic Vote, and you can find all of our personal pages through that. I'm more than happy to also leave my number as well. My number is 1-244-2228, and you can reach me if you have any idea. And I'm happy to speak about it a little bit.
Okay.
And Dmitry, it's Senate Bill 872. I know there's a House bill as well that's we're trying to get it into committee, but Senate Bill 872 is the Senate bill for the medical freedom against the vaccine passport. That's Kim Thatcher's bill.
So you're saying Kim Thatcher, is she the one that's putting this bill out, or what exactly is happening?
Yeah, she put the bill out. And I know there's a House bill to go along with it, but I don't know who the House reps are that are behind that one.
And she did a press release. She did a press release that explains it as well.
So,
Yeah.
So Kim is putting out a bill for vaccine passports?
No. Against. For
Against.
medical freedom. It's for medical freedom.
Okay,
So let me go. It's public hearing and SB SB 872 to protect medical privacy and prohibit vaccine verification. And there's more about vaccine. It's much more than vaccines. It's about freedom to choose.
Right.
So,
yeah, as far as I understood, I know that Kim was very strong on medical freedom. So I wanted to clarify that. So thank you.
Yes.
but it did get assigned to committee, and so that's a big deal there. And we just need to slam them with emails and things like that. So, and it's Senator Pete Courtney at OregonLegislator.gov.
Right.
And then
Oh, go ahead.
Senator Ron Wagner, Senator Fred Gerard, Senator Jenny Burdick, Senator James Manning, Senator Kim Thatcher, Senator Peter Courtney, and then Senator Tina Kotek, or Speaker Tina Kotek for the House. But those are all the people to kind of contact and say, hey, let's get this out on the floor for a vote. So.
Right. And one thing that I just wanted to kind of put out there, when we started the organization, we really reached out to both sides of the aisle, and we wanted to work with both sides. We wanted to really have both sides understand who are the Slavic people, where they stand, and why they believe what they believe, and just really have that diplomatic kind of conversations where we can work with both sides, and hopefully we can be heard and represented when before we weren't. So we're always open to that kind of thing, and we're always wanting to. So what I'm trying to say is, we try to be as nonpartisan as possible in order to keep that diplomatic kind of status, in a sense. Unfortunately, so far it's been primarily only the Republican legislators that are coming out and working with us, and that's very unfortunate, because I've reached out to the Democratic Party multiple times and try to connect with them and try to build those relationships. And I can't think of maybe one that were successful on the legislative side. So it's unfortunate. So if anybody's watching us and they have any connections or they're interested, I would love that. I believe in compromising, or I believe in working together, and there is room for perhaps some compromise. Obviously not on everything, but I think we can work together and make things work in general. So I'm looking forward to see where we continue, and moving forward. I hope we can reach more people and more legislators that are on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah, I think that's the hope for a lot of people, Dmitry.
It just seems like
the party of tolerance is the most intolerant party. It's been amazing. And I put that article in the chat just so you could capture it from the Epoch Times.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep, I see it. Very good. Any other questions for Dmitry today? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the session out. I want to thank Dmitry for his time and his expertise. And like I'm sure you do, I look forward to working with Dmitry in the months and years ahead. And I know that myself and other volunteer trainers from Western Liberty Network would be thrilled to participate in a summit conference that you hold. We'll be holding our next annual conference on February 5th, and it's probably going to be in Vancouver, but we're looking around, still negotiating with some things. So
I just wanted to add, thank you, Richard. And I'm looking forward to you having come on, hopefully soon, and come on our radio and speak a little bit about your story, your wife, and her, and just in general, the work that you do. And so I think it'll be a good program. I'm looking forward.
We'll stay in touch. We are looking forward to it. Whatever date you think works best for you, and that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, I also want to thank you, Vile and Jeanette, for your time today and your participation, and invite you and whoever is watching this recording to tune in every Saturday at 1 o'clock on the www.westernlibertynetwork.org webpage, where we have a link to join our live Zoom conferences. So anyway, have a good day. God bless, and stay free.
Absolutely. Thank you.